Welcome back to my channel. We've got a very, very special mini-series coming up for you. It's called Everything You Need to Know About FIFA 18. Hopefully you've watched episode 1 on the man to my right, Brandon Sniff's channel. Episode 2, it's on my channel. We're going to be looking at who's taking part in the event. Firstly, Brandon, welcome to my channel.
It's nice to be here, Richard. The second time I've been on it. Also, I was on it for the Gfinity Behind the Mic series we did. But now we're back for this new idea. As rapidly this grand final's approaching us, Richard, it's literally day by day, and I'm getting more and more excited. But hopefully, this series we're doing, this Everything You Need to Know, is giving the viewers at home a bit more of an understanding of what this grand final's all about and these 32 players that are there.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you're a very casual player and this is your first introduction to FIFA esports, or if you're a hardcore weekend league player, you've watched all the majors and the minor events happen this year and all the qualifiers. Hopefully you'll leave this video with at least one piece of new information about the people taking part for $250,000. And we've actually got the group tables and the seeding of the tables coming up on the screen right about now. It's going to be 4 groups, 8 players involved in each group, and the seeding was taken from the playoffs back in Amsterdam, Brandon.
It was indeed. I'll put that on the screen now as well for you guys at home. So basically the way it works is Amsterdam did everything, really. It kind of said who was going to be seed 1, who was going to be seed 2, up to 16 on each console. Obviously, we might as well kick off, Richard, with Group A, as you saw on that little graphic that went up a second ago. We've got to start with Megabit, haven't we? He's top of Group A. Got himself here via Barcelona, the first major this year at VfL Bochum, done wonders for that football club, and the football club have done a lot for him as well under the Stark Esports banner, and he got himself to the grand final with a win. He won the whole thing, Richard, against Rafsu.
Yeah, he won the playoffs, so that gives him the #1 seed coming into the grand finals. If you're going to look at the 2 groups on the Xbox, we'll break down Group B in a little bit. You'd probably say this is the more favourable group, less of the big finalist, the world champion, is in the other group with Gorilla. Running through this group, you've got Megabit, he's the #1 seed. Ajax Danny, who made it to the finals in the playoffs. You've got Kurt as well, who's a fantastic player, best in the world. He's the 7th ranked seed, currently a free agent, qualified for the playoffs through the Manchester playoffs, I should say. Too many playoffs. He beat Tim Latka 8-4 to qualify for the grand finals. Alexander from Sporting Kansas City, a great player, Brandon. 4-3 win against Schwenker in the round of 32.
Of course, you've got Aero in there as well, Richard, obviously playing under Team Envious. Got himself to Amsterdam via the Club World Cup, played at Gfinity, a newcomer to the scene this year, and then picked up a 5-2 win against Los Higueras from Spain.
Yeah, we were actually flying in that tournament as well, Los Higueras. I think he finished 6-1 after the Swiss style format. Aero is an underdog. He was 0-3 in Swiss style. He went to 4-3 and then beat Los Higueras, who was on a terrific run. One of the
only man to do that, wasn't he, Rich? Only man so far to go 3-4-3. Yeah, if that makes any sense.
0-3 to 4-3. So every single match was an elimination match for Enviero. He rode the pressure. I think, speaking a little bit more about Aero, I think the Club World Cup, he had quite a, you say traumatic experience in the final of the Club World Cup. He was 3-0 up against his opponent. Eisvogel gave him a 3-goal lead, and he let the game slip away. He was devastated after that result. So I think he knows that, I think he's learned from the negatives, which is a massive thing. I always say, it's wins and lessons. If you're not losing, you're learning. So a big turning point, I think, for Enviero in the course of the tournament. Rest of the players in that group, you got Resende from Brazil, a 4-2 win over the Englishman Bailey, put him into the grand final. And then, how can you forget about this, Brandon?
Danuso is in London. Danuso is in London, Richard, as a lot of Italian fans will know. Sorry to hashtag Ryan. Big fan of that man as well. As you saw, we saw some incredible games, didn't we, Rich, in Amsterdam? That was one of the real standouts for us. Danuso 5-4 win in extra time against Ryan. And then you've got Dreamer, who has done exceptionally well this year, gone under the radar for a lot of people from Wales. At Hashtag United, got signed up via the G20 Elite Series as a draft player, and now he's actually contracted to them, and he picks up a 4-2 win against Remy Martin.
Yeah, terrific breakout year for Dreamer. He's one of the players who really gets his head down. He'll grind the game. I remember at ESWC, Brandon, there weren't that many people watching the stream, but he was in there in the chat because we could actually see the Twitch chat as the games were playing. Every single attack, every single defence, he was there. That's good defending. He should have done a finesse shot there. He should have done a low-driven shot. His dedication to the game is unbelievable. If he's not playing, he's watching. If he's not watching the game, if he's not watching someone else playing, he's watching his own gameplay back, analysing what he could have done. And I think him signing for Hashtag is a massive step forward for him.
Massive indeed. And as we said, if you remember right at the beginning of this video, not long ago at all, Megabit won everything in Amsterdam. On the Xbox side, the man he played in that final was Rafsu. This is Group B now. So Group A and B are Xbox Group, 16 players in total. This is Group B now. We're starting from the top of that, Richard. So seed number 2 on the Xbox side is Rafsu from France, currently a free agent. He said he's announcing something on the 1st of August. So when this video comes out, if it's before or after, no, it'll be before. It'll be before the grand final actually starts. So that means Richard, he is announcing he's signing for a club. We've already seen 3 players sign for football clubs in the last few days on the grand final day that it starts.
Yeah, if that's not a statement of intent, I don't know what is. Rafsu is one of those players. If he's feeling himself, we've had one the Foot Champ podcast before with me and you, Brandon. If he's feeling confident, if he's feeling good in his ability, as we saw in the Amsterdam, nobody can stop him. He knocked out Desari. He knocked out Gorilla. He knocked out Tex. He knocked out so many huge players to get to that grand final. And it was only Megabit who was on fire during the tournament that did stop him. Looking through the rest of this group, Brandon, this is the group of death. Rafsu, Gorilla, Desari, Razek, Goal Machine, Sakul, Crafty, and JSSF. What a group that is.
Unbelievable groups. Obviously kicking off with Gorilla. If you don't know Gorilla, where have you been in the competitive scene? Well, if you're new to the competitive scene, he was the world champion last year in London. We're back in London again. Is he going to be another Englishman winning, Richard? Back in London. It was Chris Bullard a number of years ago. Spencer Elin last year, $200,000. He's going to be at that grand final again. He picks up a 13-5 win against Janos and the Colombian in Amsterdam. MS Desar, on the other hand, very quiet start to the year this year. However, signed for Rogue, went to Amsterdam, got himself his grand final spot, up against D. Gianni, 7-4 win. And then Nicholas Rajek. Tell me who he's just signed for. That man is incredible.
Yeah, he signed for VfL Bochum. We didn't know how long it was going to be till he had a club. We'd heard a lot of rumours that he was looking for a team. He'd had a few offers. Nothing really got his attention that much. Nothing really sparked his interest. But it was VfL Bochum who matched his needs. And what a signing that is. They've potentially got 2 of the best Xbox players in the world. They're probably... A lot of people regard Nicholas Razek as one of the best. Behind Desari on his day, can beat Desari, and just... Looking at the matchups that we've got in this group, we've got a Gorilla versus Razek. I think that will be the 4th time they've matched up at an event this year. Desari against Razek, they've matched up 3 or 4 times. Gorilla versus Desari. All these games are going to be taking place. Goal Machine against Gorilla. Remember that encounter. This will be the 3rd time they've matched up in a huge tournament. So we're writing the storybook as we go.
Well, Goal Machine, as you mentioned, playing at Bundle, the top 4 in Manchester, as you said, beat Gorilla back then. You had the likes of the Lozanos, Alessandrinis. Remember, these guys were playing on unlocked accounts at the time. And he was just basically saying, he was just basically saying, these are the people I used at home. But I remember the Chris Chout commentary line, if he's somehow watching this. But then you've got Sakal as well, part of the Focus clan. Barcelona, again, another early player. A lot of these people at the grand final booked their place to Amsterdam. On
January, February time. The rest of the group is rounded off with Crafty, who unfortunately Herodier wasn't able to compete in the round of 32 match due to health issues. So Herosier actually forfeited the result to Crafty, 3-0. And then JSSF beat Gabinho. We saw him at the V4 Future Gaming Festival. JSSF beat him 6-4 to book his place in the grand finals. That's the Xbox groups, Brandon. What are you thinking? Group of death, Group B?
Out of the two Xbox groups, I'm going to have to say, yeah, Group B so far looks like it's the toughest group. You've got some really big names now, as you said, Rafsu, Gorilla, MS Dasari, Rajet, Goal Machine, the list goes on. What we'll do is we'll put it back on your screen again just to update you on the graphic of the groups. We've done the left half now, the Group A and B, Group 1 and 2, they're the Xbox groups. And now it's time to get into the PlayStation ones, Richard. And we're kicking off with seed number 1, the winner of the PlayStation side in Amsterdam. Come on, if you don't know this man, and Nicholas99 from Transfer Market actually got his playoff spot back in Barcelona again. You're going to hear me say this a lot. People booking their spots early on. It just showed their intent early on in FIFA 18.
It did. A lot of people regard this man as the best player in the world, full stop. Nobody is better than him. A lot of the pros say this. Playing with that 4-2-3-1, very heavy possession based player, keeps the ball, wears opponent down, doesn't try anything fancy. Clinical finishing in the final third, whether it's Luis Suarez or with Cristiano Ronaldo, R9 in the attacking trio. The man is a machine. There's no other way of putting it. Who is going to be able to stop him? Is he going to get through the group? That's a question for itself, because looking at the rest of this group, you've got some serious talent in here, Brandon. His sparring partner, Webb, he's the 4th ranked PlayStation 4 seed.
And he's the only free agent now in that group as well, because yesterday, Stefano Pinos, if I've pronounced it anywhere near right, I kept on getting picked up on it in Amsterdam. He just signed for PSV. Abdi, the player, there's gone up to the coaching spot. So they've got Ali Rizzaregan and now Stefano Pina as a PSV esporter now. As we said, Webb is in there as well, the free agent from Japan who surprised everybody in Amsterdam. Dito from Manchester City. The Kingfisher's in there as well. These are just some of the names, Richard.
Yeah, I've got the hat on for his Honey Badger. He's competing as well. He got his spot through Manchester for the playoffs and then went on to beat JRA Cool 5-4 to get his place in London. Another hashtag United player, hashtag Boras. What a game that was against Principe.
That was an incredible game, Richard. There was 2 games that really stood out for us, wasn't there, in Amsterdam? It was the Danuzos in London and then Boras right at the end. It was like 2 hashtag players against 2 Italian players. Danuso won one of the battles and then the hashtag player won the other battle against Principe. After extra time, 5-4 win that one as well. And then Yimmy HD, who's got an incredible story, was a referee at the grand final in London last year, plays for Feyenoord now, basically got himself a grand final spot as well. He beat Nightwatch 7-5 in that round of 32. Ice Vogel, on the other hand, we mentioned him a little bit, a great year for this man, a breakout player, as he's called the Kingfisher, which means Ice Vogel, translate into English, means Icebird, Kingfisher, and what a group that is, Richard. Group 3 on PlayStation. Obviously, we need to have a look at the next group, and then we'll decide which one will be the group of death. So Group 4, as we know from the previous groups, that whoever is the 2nd seed is at the top of this group. That was Marv. He lost against Nicholas, and playing for Bayer Leverkusen. Unfortunately lost that game, but I've been looking on social media. He's up to boot camp at the moment with Nicholas, so they're clearly very good friends still.
Yeah, he's very confident coming into the grand finals. You also got Marcuso from Manchester City. He was the biggest winner in that round of 32 playoff match with a 7-1 victory over Envy Jazz. Some of the other names in this group, it's stacked, Brandon. You've got The Stranger, probably one of the best German players in the scene right now. Dami, he's the 6th seed, recently signed for Roma. He actually signed for Roma at the playoffs. Really tight game against Ali Rizzaregan. 7-6 victory to get his spot for the grand final. Then the bottom half of it, we've got another new signing, Brandon.
We have indeed. Just incredible down the end there. Mo Aubameyang, as you mentioned, just signed for Werder Bremen in the Bundesliga. You got Maestro from Lille. You got Andoni PM from Movie Star Raiders. Hashtag Aggie, hashtag United, goes without saying. But, just have a look at some of those round of 32 fixtures in this group. Just looking at it now, I'm sorry, Group C, aka the PlayStation Group 1. This is the group of death. Group 4. It's incredible, Richard. Looking at these names here, as you've mentioned, I'm going to say it again. Marcuso, Manchester City, The Stranger from Basel, Dami from Roma. It's just a clash of football clubs.
Yeah, it just goes to show as well how elite the competition is when hashtag Aggie, who I would say is one of the underdogs in this tournament, really. He's had quite an up and down year at the LAN events this year by his standards. That's why I have put him as an underdog. For a piece that I did for EA recently. He's the 14th ranked seed in this group. That just shows, you'd say, hashtag Aggie, if you just mentioned the name, it's an illustrious name. He's the lowest ranked seed in this PlayStation 4 group. That just shows the level of competition, Brandon.
And at the same time as that as well, Richard, he has got that experience of winning a world championship. He did it in Rio de Janeiro in 2014. He's got that experience at the end of the day. Every single player in there is here because, one, they've got to Amsterdam, they've won something or they've qualified via something, and a lot of them probably didn't expect to be in this grand final right now. So to try and shift that mental block there of how you can try and move forward. But that is all the groups, Richard, as we've spoken about. I'm just going to have a quick look now at the nation breakup. I believe we're going to put it on the screen now. Is that correct?
Yeah, we'll throw the nation breakup as well. You can see Germany dominating the nations. Over a quarter of the players are from Germany coming into this tournament. If you're a betting man, you've got to think it's going to be going back to a German household.
It's insane, Richard. 8 German players, as you said, Richard, in the grand final. You've got 3 French players there as well. Hopefully you'll be able to recognise the faces during the live stream. Well, you may have seen them if you do follow the competitive world of esports FIFA. Obviously, 2 really good friends, 2 Danes there, as we said, Aggie and Marcuso. Ajax, Danny and Yimi from Netherlands. And you've got 2 Brazilians, JSFF, Senna, and you've got Resende. And then you've got 2 English players, Gorilla and Croft. It just goes 1 from each country on from there, doesn't it?
Yeah, 1 player from each nation represented from there on out. 19 nations represented altogether across the 32 players. The United States, Malta, Japan, New Zealand. It's a global sport. Everywhere on the planet is represented in some capacity.
Yeah, for sure there is. I'm just looking here at the breakdown. It's good to see as well we've got players from the European region, from the rest of the world region, and from the Americas region, because I know that's been definitely a goal from EA Sports this year. You've got to remember, it's a global game, FIFA. It's one of the, it's the best selling sports game. Everyone has got to have an opportunity to qualify, whether it's FUT Champions, whether it's via these competitive events that we've seen happen all over the world in the global series this year.
Every continent is represented in some capacity. Asia, North America, South America. I think the only place that isn't is probably Antarctica, and no one lives there. So everywhere else is represented in some capacity. I think one thing that we should do now, towards the end of the video, is look at some of the stories building from the players in the group. I'm looking towards, can Gorilla make it 2 wins back-to-back, be the first ever player to win back-to-back World Championships? Can Aggie write his name in the history books and become a 2-time World Champion? Can anybody stop Nicholas? Can he be beaten?
Can Dito bounce back after last year? Don't get me wrong, still the PlayStation champion, still a grand finalist, but that final is going to be in his head, isn't it, Richie? He lost to Gorilla there, 7-3. That him losing that game is still going to be in his mindset. And I know he said this year, I've seen in interviews already, where do you want to get to this year? He's got to say, I'm going 1 step better than this year, and that's winning the whole thing. And we're talking unbelievable money here. We're talking life-changing amounts, $250,000. It's good to see people like, as we said, Boras, Aggie, players that are back in that grand final that weren't there last year, newcomers to the scene. Aero, he's going to be in there. Nicholas is back again. Mo Aubameyang is back again. We've got players from New Zealand Zealand in Honey Badger. Like, this is shaping up for an incredible final. And I know we haven't been around, competitive FIFA for a very long time yet. But out of all the competitions we've seen, I've said it again and again, this is a stacked tournament.
Yeah, it's probably the most competitive tournament we have seen. I always say it, and it's not a cliche. Any one of these players, any 32 player can win this tournament. If they turn up on the Thursday, the Friday and the Saturday and play their best FIFA across 3 days, they can win it all. I think the final thing to really point out will be the seeding placement. Will the seeding of the players really tell a difference now the groups have been made up? We've said, from our personal opinion, there is 2 groups of death, Group B and Group D. They're the players. Megabits don't have to deal with that. Nicholas doesn't have to deal with that because they got that #1 seed. And to find out who you think me and Brandon, will be going through the groups, you're going to have to watch episode 3 of everything you need to know about the FIFA eWorld Cup. And that'll be on the Man to My Right, Brandon Smith channel, a couple of days after this video has been released.
Exactly that. It's been a pleasure, Richard. Hopefully we've given you guys at home, please let us know in Richard's comments down below if we've helped you maybe understand a few ways that these guys have got into this grand final. Sorry we couldn't give you a bit more information with the graphics, but we've given you 4 tables to look at and all the information you need to know going into this huge tournament at the O2 Arena in London in a few days' time. And Richard, thank you for having me on your channel.
Thank you for coming on. It's going to be the 2nd to the 4th of August. Me and Brandon are going to be there. I hope you can be there in person or watching from home. And until next time, live a good life.